Alright, let's get back into Absolute Superman. So, what we got in issue number 7 was the whole very depressing origin of Absolute Brainiac, and before that, we got introduced to Absolute Ra's al Ghul, where we learned that these two are working together. On top of that, we got Lois still looking for Superman, but now looking for him through his parents. And she's definitely getting close as he recently came back home so he could stop himself from killing Absolute Peacemaker. So right now, it looks like we got a lot of colliding plot lines with everyone honing in on Superman. Let's see what happens. And we start on a pretty exciting note. We got Ra's al Ghul murdering an agent of the Omega Men while in a business call. He is not breaking a sweat. And while murdering more assassins, we learn a lot about Ra's al Ghul, as he says in his business meeting. I started this company almost 200 years ago, with money earned from Canadian furs and Ottawa scalps. The Lazarus Corporation's first order of business was to build the railroads that transformed this town from a rickety frontier fort to the city of tomorrow. I never imagined I might live long enough to fulfill my company's ultimate goal, to resurrect the world, as he continues to destroy more assassins. And when he kicks one of these assassins into a Lazarus pit, he activates it at maximum power, as he continues. For as it says on the letterhead, Lazarus means life. I'd heard the story when I was a child, the fantastical tale of a man raised from the dead by the Son of God. Though my early years would prove bereft of anything one might consider a godly pursuit, I never forgot that tale, and in time I realized where the common man saw progress in industry, only I could see the earth for the maggot-riddled carcass it was heedlessly rotting into. It would fall to me alone to bring this ravaged, overpopulated planet back to life. With the advancements brought about by Project Brainiac, that day of resurrection is close at hand. Soon, Lazarus shall rise from his tomb, remade, reinvigorated, like a newborn babe. And the dude he threw into the Lazarus pit, when he turned it on to max power, has been reverted to a child, an infant, a newborn. This is insane. And it gets crazier as he pulls this newborn out of the Lazarus pit and holds it in his arms. He continues to talk to the shareholders. A lifetime ago, the name Ra's al Ghul struck fear into the hearts of the masses and their masters alike. Demon's Head they called me, but like Lazarus, I was reborn. You may call me the God's Head now, the God with the power to heal the lame, to restore the old, to save this planet from the billions of leeches who would bleed it dry. And as he's talking, he's slowly walking with this infant over a balcony as he continues. My only regret is that I have no son through which to do this. And at first, when I saw him turn this dude into an infant, I thought maybe he'd put him under his wing. No. He just drops the baby off the balcony. This dude is ruthless. And we learn that instead of the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows, it is now called the League of Shareholders, as these are the people he's been in a meeting with. And they're very happy with the success of Lazarus Corp. So as he ends the meeting, he lets them all know Lazarus means hope. And now we know a lot about Ra's al Ghul, the kind of man he is, what his plans are, how he sees the world, and more importantly, just how ruthless he really is. Not even newborn babies are free from his wrath. And with all that murder in Metropolis, we pick back up with Superman in Smallville, Kansas, and things get pretty sad, as he's come a very long way to visit his mother, who is now in an assisted living facility. But there's something wrong. As he goes over some of the things he's been able to see across the world and the things he's been through, she's not really saying anything, she's not really responsive. And when he tries to leave her some seashells, we see why. It appears as though Ma Kent now has dementia. She doesn't remember him. She doesn't even remember that her husband is now dead, as she calls out to him, telling him that someone's in her room. Superman is so connected to this town and to these people that he loved so much, people he was forced to leave. And at the very end of it all, she doesn't even remember him. It's honestly really sad to see. And Sol, not really understanding how sad everything is explaining to him what exactly is wrong with Ma Kent. And it's really not the time for this, but before he even gets a moment to grieve the life he could have had, Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane both tracked him here to his hometown, both trying their best to get his attention, to maybe sway him to one side or the other, as he tells them the answer will always be no. And Lois does her best to let him know she's not here as an agent of Lazarus, she's here as Lois Lane, further cementing that effect Superman has on different people. Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane are straying from the path they were on. They're not just an Omega Man or an agent of Lazarus, now they have their own agency, and all they know for sure is that finding Superman is the right thing to do. But of course, with Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane in close proximity, they start arguing for why their company is better than the other, despite the fact that they're both pretty terrible, and Superman takes that opportunity to simply leave. Or at least that's what it looks like, but it turns out he's actually hiding, and Lois seems to have a pretty good idea of who Superman is. As she says, 3 years ago there was a church down the street that caught fire, only for that fire to somehow freeze, saving everyone inside. 2 years ago, a small school bus was dragged from a lake with no one around. Now that, I don't know if they're actually doing this, but it sounds like the clip from Man of Steel, where he does that exact thing, but he did it as a teenage boy. As she continues, last fall, the Ferguson family on Hutchinson Road swore they were pulled to safety from inside a tornado. I know why you keep coming back here. See, she knows that he's looking for somewhere to belong, because again, he didn't really get to live the life he was supposed to here in Smallville. He was forced to leave because of the Peacemakers and Lazarus Corps. And Lois believes maybe she's that person he can trust. Maybe he doesn't have to keep running continent to continent anymore. And Jimmy Olsen takes this opportunity to plead his case, telling Superman he needs to fight for what's left of Smallville, and that Lazarus Corps, the people Lois are working for, bought up this entire land. That they're making the people work for basically pennies on the dollar, and that he'd be crazy to trust Lois, as these are the masters she chose to serve. But before they get to have another argument, we cut back to Superman as Sol is letting him know neither of these people should actually be trusted. But Superman has had enough of all of this, as he tells them why he's actually here. The only reason he's back home is that he wants to stop himself from killing Peacemaker Smith. And while he explains this to Lois and Jimmy Olsen, we hear a crack, and we see green mist coming from his chest. As we see the Lazarus Corps, who seem to have tracked Lois here, have shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet right in the middle of the chest. So of course, all that power is being drained rapidly from his body as he falls to his knees. And Jimmy and Lois immediately point guns at each other and start to argue, but Lois makes it clear pretty fast, if they keep arguing, this miracle is gonna die right at their feet, and they'll both regret it for the rest of their lives. So although she's able to acknowledge they're on opposite teams, opposite spectrums, and they're never gonna agree, here and now they do need to work together. So finally, this trio has been formed, and their first test as Superman's inner circle is to keep him alive and try and protect him from the Lazarus Corps. And that's gonna be pretty damn difficult because the psychopath, Peacemaker Smith, is here, fully upgraded, something we saw in the previous issue, where Brainiac was forcefully putting all kinds of mechanical parts on his body, forcing him to be this. But he's not complaining because he still has that burning, seething hatred for Superman, and now he's got the power to do something about it. With his gun full of kryptonite bullets and his augmented body, he is ready to finally kill Superman, to finally get his revenge. And through this rage and his obsession with peace, he's actually inspiring the other Peacemakers to be like him. So things are just looking super bad, but they're only getting worse as now we see Brainiac is actively helping Peacemaker, tracking the bullet he just shot right in his chest. So Superman cannot hide for long. But while he is hiding, we got Jimmy and Lois trying to figure out what to do. They're so used to bullets bouncing off of his skin, so they don't even understand what he's been shot with. On top of that, Sol can't even get the bullet out, so things are looking really bad. And while they're arguing and panicking, we see a surge of energy come from the bullet. I'm surprised Superman's not dead from this, but Brainiac has located where he is, so now the Peacemaker's here too. And he's finally able to get his revenge. He's been waiting to get his hands on Superman. And there's no better time than now, with him being fully upgraded and Superman being in a very weakened state, as he throws him through walls, punches him in the face, telling him to crack a good one, laugh like the animals in Pakistan, the innocent people he murdered. We saw he felt pretty guilty about that at first, but now he's completely lost it. To him, everyone deserved it. It's all in the name of peace, and he is ready to finally kill Superman. And Superman does his best to fight back, but he's simply too weakened, so Sol tries to help. Tries to disrupt some of these implants Christopher Smith has. And Superman even tries to use his classic frost breath, but it doesn't do anything. He's too weakened, so it's just little pieces of ice that leave his mouth before Peacemaker Smith punches him in the chest right where the bullet is, and then drops him with a punch to the face. And we learn that while Brainiac had him, he got him drinking the same Kool-Aid Ra's al Ghul is drinking. He now believes he's serving the will of God. As if he wasn't crazy enough thinking everything he did was in the name of peace. Now he's got God on his side. This dude will not be stopped. Superman simply cannot do this. Luckily, he has new friends. Lois and Jimmy Olsen are telling Peacemaker Smith to back off. And with them stepping in, it gives him some moment to rest, because now all the Peacemakers are pointing their guns at Lois and Jimmy. And Lois seems to think she's got some kind of control here, telling the Peacemakers to arrest Peacemaker Smith. But the power has definitely shifted, and she's the one who's about to end up in a cell. But before we even get to that, the people of Smallville are done with all this destruction. They too have stepped out with their own guns, telling everyone to put their guns down and leave, because this is their town. And Peacemaker's just happy to see this as he says God bless America. But this does give the other Peacemakers a chance to finally speak to him, They are told to take Superman alive, and clearly Peacemaker's trying to kill him. But like I said, this dude was already crazy when he thought he was doing everything in the name of peace, as he chokes up one of his own men and tells them, "You don't tell me how to keep the peace." But before he can go any further, Superman is finally back on his feet. As we see, he's taken on this new, very cool looking form with the help of Soul. Now he's able to fight back and do his best to get rid of Smith before things get too far. Soul even unlocked their solar reserves. Superman is amped up, charged up, ready to go, as he tells them, "You should have stayed the hell away from Kansas." And with this new power, he blitzes everyone in the area. He punches Smith 1,000 times in 30 seconds. But it's still not enough, as Smith realizes something about Superman. Despite all that power, he's still holding back. Despite the fact that he's been shot square in the chest with a bullet that is actively killing him, he is still holding back. Superman is afraid of his own rage, while Smith has given in to his. He killed a bunch of innocent people because they made him angry, and he got promoted for it. He got power for it. He's not holding back like Superman is. And hearing all this, Superman tells him he's not gonna hold back anymore. But it's too late, as Smith shoots Superman with more kryptonite bullets. So things get pretty damn bad. As he keeps shooting Superman, the suit is losing its integrity. Soul needs to reboot. They can't do anything. This is the end of Superman, as Peacemaker finally tells him who God is, Ra's al Ghul. That's the name Brainiac told him. Lazarus means life, and the only way to save the world is to kill a bunch of people, as he points his final bullet right at Superman's head. But Brainiac steps in because the plan is to keep Superman alive. And it's kinda crazy that even full of holes, right before he almost got his head blown off, Superman is still telling Peacemaker not to make him, and he couldn't finish his sentence. But obviously he didn't want to go too far, despite the fact that he's literally on death's door. Luckily for him, because Brainiac wants him alive, he shuts Peacemaker down. And now Jimmy and Lois have to figure out what to do, what hospital to even get him to. And this tug of war is actually finally won by Jimmy Olsen, because as much as Lois wants to help, she is still a member of Lazarus, and they want Superman dead. At least with the Omega Men, they're very obsessed and they'll actually try to help him. So he chooses Jimmy to get him out of there. So Jimmy's able to start a boom tube, and immediately the Omega Men come to save Superman. They kill some of the Peacemakers, they're ready to help. And Lois tells them what's going on with Superman and how weak he really is. But before they can all get into the portal, Primus lets her know, "You're not coming with us." They're leaving Lois behind. She may be cool with Jimmy, but she is not cool with the Omega Men, and they are still enemies. And with them able to successfully extract Superman, now, Lois is left alone with her decisions, surrounded by Peacemakers, all pointing guns at her, as she says, "What the hell have I done?" And this is where the issue ends. What a way to end it. So, Lois is now stuck with her decisions, Superman is on death's door, and Jimmy is back with the Omega Men, but they're probably still angry with him as he did all this without their knowledge. And now we've got that introduction to Kryptonite, so this unstoppable god Superman has been for these past issues, it's over with. They know exactly how to hurt him. Either way, this was an amazing issue. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.